Welcome to Truest Blood, the official True Blood podcast.
I'm Kristin Bauer.
And I'm Deborah Ann Wool.
And you've been invited in.
I wanna do bad things with you. On Truest Blood.
Welcome back to Truest Blood, where we sink our fangs into the series bite by bite.
This week we have Karolina Wydra on the show,
Yeah.
one of my favorite coworkers. I mean, I think Her Turn as Violet easily earns her the place among the best villains on the show, right up there with Dennis O'Hare's King Russell, Anna Camp's Sarah Newland. She's staggering.
Totally. She is so terrific. And we had such a great time catching up with her. It was absolutely lovely.
I really, especially coming in at the end of a series like that, where so many people have stood out, and to then, make space for yourself and grab that by the horns. I'm so impressed by her.
Yeah, me too. She has an incredible arc.
Oh my God, it's great. But first, let's have a quick bite. A day on the set of True Blood.
So as we near the end of our run here, Deb and I have been lamenting all the many professionals we weren't able to highlight.
Yeah.
So today we thought we'd take you through a typical day on the set of True Blood. And Deb has done a wonderful job of writing this. And we will try to call out as many folks, or at least departments, as we can, as well as some of the jargon used around the lot that I think is really fun.
It's fun, and this is really an inside look. We're pulling back the curtain today. But to start, if we're really being honest, there are no truly typical days on True Blood.
Right.
But in between the beheadings, the stakings, and the general raunchiness, there was a well-oiled machine, fueled by creativity and caffeine, probably. So everything begins the day before when you receive a call sheet.
Now, the call sheet is a fascinating thing. I keep them from every show.
It's a masterpiece.
It is incredible. And Deb called it a masterpiece spreadsheet. And I thought, oh, that's so smart. That's such a good way to describe it, because it includes all the information for the day, the location of the shoot, which scenes are scheduled, the weather, the meal times, the actors, vehicles, props, special effects, camera equipment, everything that's needed, even the nearest hospital.
Yes.
If you need to know it, it is on the call sheet.
Yes. Now, most importantly, it will include the call times for every single individual working that day. Now, that call time can be 4 a.m., it can be 4 p.m., it can be anything in between. And if you're lucky, you might even get it earlier than 8 hours before your call, so you can sleep before you show up.
Let's say it's a day on the lot where all of our permanent indoor sets are housed. If it's a Monday and we're shooting inside, it's going to be early.
It's going to be very early.
First to show up are going to be transportation around 4 a.m. We call them transpo. They will set up and maintain the trailers at base camp. I love this terminology. They drive in any of the crew trucks, and they start sending vans to pick up cast or crew that are not self-driving to the set. So they're doing everything with vehicles.
Yes. So next to arrive are hair and makeup. This is likely around 5 a.m. Now, they have about half an hour to get prepped before the actors start arriving. The department heads for hair and makeup will have created their own schedule, irrespective of the call sheet. And that assigns the different hair and makeup artists to the actors and rotates them through depending on who needs the most time.
At 5:30 a.m., or it could be 5:30 p.m., but since we're in Monday on the lot, 5:30 a.m. actors begin to arrive, starting with anyone who needs extra time for prosthetics or tattoo cover-up or just more involved looks.
Right, those are generally
the female characters.
Yes, we're often in early.
Oh, man. It's so irritating when the boys show up 2 hours later and are in hair and makeup for like 10 minutes. 7 a.m. will mark the official crew call. Actors will leave hair and makeup and head to the set, often still in curlers.
Yep.
to walk through the first scene with the director, the assistant director, director of photography, any stand-ins, and also anyone else that wants to watch or needs to watch.
Yes, this is a good time for anyone that wants to sort of see how the scene will play out, get that initial impression. It's also a time for actors and directors and everyone to kind of work out what they want. So once everyone is happy with the scene, the actors are kicked out. They return to finish getting ready, put on their costume, and usually get a small microphone hidden somewhere on their costume or body. Meanwhile, back at set, the camera crew, lighting, sound, props, special effects, background actor placement, set decorators, everyone is preparing for the scene at the direction of their department heads. Now, all of this is communicated via the first assistant director or the AD. Now, they have a whole team working under them. Some are managing base camp or maintaining and managing the background performers.
It's so much more work than like having the Rolling Stones on tour.
Oh my God.
Let me just say that.
So after all this, once the set is finally ready, the stand-ins will step into the scene. Now, stand-ins are very important. Their job is to watch the actor's performance and take their place during setups. So lighting and camera can keep working while the actors are still in hair and makeup. They're working with the director. They're, or with the writer or other actors preparing the scene, or maybe they simply need a break.
I always feel like it's tag team. When my stand-in comes out,
Yeah.
we tag, then I go in, right? We are never in the same place at the same time. So everything is ready and the actors return in full wardrobe, hair, and makeup. It's probably around 8 a.m. by now, and we are finally ready to go for a take.
Yeah, 4 hours since Transpo showed up, and we're ready to go. So, beginning of this day, the first thing you're likely to hear is pictures up. This means the set is ready to go for a take. Everyone just listen up. Next comes first team. Now, this means that the actors should go relieve the stand-ins and take their place for the top of the scene. First team are the actors, second team are stand-ins.
Even as you're saying pictures up and first team, I feel my body getting ready.
Yeah, there's a Pavlovian response. Absolutely.
It's really wild. So once the actors are in place, the AD will call last looks. So a whole team of hair, makeup artists, and set costumers, they jump in and they take one last look at the actors to add any last-minute additions like dripping blood, tucking in a shirt, fixing a few flyaways, making sure we put on our costumes correctly.
Yes, exactly. So finally, when they clear, we hear sound with the reply speeding from the sound mixer who's controlling all the various mic levels. This means that sound has begun recording. Even though, nothing is actually speeding, there's no mechanical elements, we still use this phrase as a way to mark readiness. Next we hear is camera set. That's answered by the camera operator with set, so we know that they are ready to go. Then there's a second AC, or assistant camera, that writes out the scene number, the take number, so for this is number 1, on the slate, which is that famous black and white clapperboard. They call it out so that everyone can hear it and clap it. This allows the video to be synced with the sound. They are also keeping an extraordinarily detailed record of what's being captured when.
Last but not least, if background is needed for the scene, there will be a call for background because we want the environment in motion before the scene starts. And then finally, the director gets their moment and calls action. And that's when the actors finally begin the scene.
Woo! Long road here.
Yeah.
So what is it saying? A long walk for a short drink of water.
Yes.
When the action is complete, which is usually like a couple minutes later, the director will yell cut or sometimes just reset, which means we're doing it again without cutting. But in either case, the AD shouts back to 1, which means everybody better book it back to their starting positions and reset because we're going again from the top.
So we do this until everyone is satisfied and the AD says, moving on. Then it all starts over again and we set up for the next camera angle. Somewhere about halfway through filming this particular scene, you will hear turning around. And that means that we've got everything we need facing in that direction, and the camera is now going to move to the other side of the room to cover everything facing the other way.
Yeah. So I think, what you end up seeing on screen is an accumulation of hours, right? Pam's lines were said at 8 a.m.
Right.
And then when they cut to Eric's lines, it's now, 1 p.m.
Right.
And we're melding it together. That's just how long this process can
And if
take.
we walk from inside to outside, or one set, one room to another room, it could be another day.
A whole other day once we're coming back from
Yeah.
this. So the director, producers, supervising writer, the DP, and the script supervisor are all seated at what we call Video Village, watching the monitors. They're going to be there with anyone else who might need to see what the camera's seeing during the take.
If a scene requires a stunt, the stunt coordinator and stunt doubles will be there. The doubles will be in costume and potentially wigs and made up to match the actor that they're doubling. If it requires visual or special effects, a representative from that team will be present to coordinate what they need. There may also be dialect coaches, animal wranglers, weapons masters, a medic, an intimacy coordinator nowadays, and a set photographer.
Yes. So now let's, move across the street in the soundstage next door. They're preparing for, let's say, the next episode. The production designer is in charge of the overall aesthetic of the show and is going over plans with the art director, set designer, scenic department, and construction.
And yet another building, the production team is hard at work. The casting directors are holding casting sessions for characters that'll work next week. The costume designer is holding fittings with incoming actors. The legal and accounting teams are reporting to the line producer and production managers about the budget and the hiring. Promotion is gearing up to create posters and social content to promote the series. Production assistants, or PAs, help wherever they are needed.
I mean, it is wild. I mean, in writing this, I'm just like, the sheer human force that is required to get this done. It's staggering.
It's staggering. And the post-production facility, they are hard at work on the previous episode.
Right.
The editor makes their first cut of the episode based on the notes from the director and script supervisor. Visual effects, sound, music, animation, and color all get added and refined by the large teams of post-production creators, all under the management of the post-production supervisor.
So now we're back at the sound stages. The day goes on, we break for lunch, and we continue filming. Now, a day on the True Blood set usually covered around 5 to 10 pages on average. Sometimes it might be less if it's a very involved scene. Generally, you can work for about 12 hours from crew call before overtime and stuff kicks in. So then the last shot of the day is called the martini, signifying that a well-earned martini is just moments away.
I mean,
most of us just went to bed, I think.
Totally. That was from the days when days were shorter. It had to be.
Yes, probably. I mean, some of the martini's a little bit shrouded in myth. We're not entirely sure where that comes from, but certainly today it marks, hey, everybody, last effort. We're almost there.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, we hear that's a wrap.
Everyone wraps up, cleans up before heading home, except for the ADs, who spend the last hour or so of the day going over the schedule for tomorrow and writing out the next call sheet to be sent out. Again, hopefully before everyone goes to sleep and prepare to do it all over again.
It's magic. Magic that 300 people work so hard for.
Karolina Wydra comes to us all the way from Poland. She moved to the States when she was 11, and a few years later, her modeling career took off when she won the Elite Lee Jeans Model Look Contest, and has since graced the covers of magazines, worked on huge print ad campaigns and commercials, including, fun fact, a Nespresso commercial with George Clooney. Y'all remember those?
I got to find that on YouTube.
I bet it's there.
Then she landed the movie Be Kind, Rewind with Jack Black, and it's been uphill ever since with fabulous arcs on House, Justified, Wicked City, Sneaky Peek, Quantico, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the stunning role of Violet on True Blood, of course. She is a force, a talent, a beauty, and also just has a great sense of humor. She has beautiful tattoos. Yeah. She connected me with her tattoo artist. And we're so lucky that she has made the time to come and talk to us.
Karolina, you're here.
Hi. It is so to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Truly, so nice. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, we've been watching the seasons, and so, we've been seeing a lot of your face over the last couple of weeks here. So it's nice to get a little bit of the behind the scenes and thought process going on from you. So we can't wait here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always like to start with how you got the part. So what was your way in?
Oh, that's such a great question, because I remember so vividly the day, because it was one of those things. I was at the end of my rope with auditioning. And I had 2 auditions that day with Junie and Libby.
Oh, wow.
And one was for something else. And then for True Blood, I went in the morning. It went okay. And then for Violet, I remember I was in the room and there was a bunch of beautiful girls sitting around. And I was like, she's like, no way. There's just no way. And I was listening to, what is that song? Bad Girls by, what's her name? Oh God, she's an amazing artist. And it was just like very like drums and just like intense music. And I was just like, I'm just getting myself all pumped to go in there. And, and I just said, fuck it. I don't care. I'm going all out.
Yeah.
And I went in the room. I went all out. Silence. And they're like, thank you. I'm like, oh, okay. I walk out. They're like, can you please come back? So I come back in. I get some notes from Brian Buckner, Bucky.
Yes, Bucky.
Who I just adore and love.
Yeah.
And he gave me some notes. And then again, I was just like going all out. And so I went up to the casting director. I got in her face. I was just like all over the room. And I was done with the scene. And I just heard, wow.
Okay.
And I didn't know if that was a good thing or if it was one of those things that are just like, holy shit, what just happened?
That's a lot. Yeah.
And so I just like left my soul in that room, just left it all in there. And I just walked out. I was like, okay, I did it. I did it. I went, did what I wanted to do. And I think it was that day, the next day I got the call that I got the part. And I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it.
And what did you know? What did you know about your role at that point? Were you just told recurring or?
I knew that it was recurring season 7 with an option of series regular for season 8.
Mm-hmm.
Or 6 to 7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 6 to 7?
6 to 7. Yeah,
6 to 7.
Yeah.
And I was actually up for another job that I already shot a pilot for. And it was like a bit of a conflict. And and basically I had to choose. And they were like, choose between was Low Winter Sun, which was an AMC show, or they like choose True Blood. And I went True Blood.
Come on.
It's interesting when it's like, because mine was a guest star possible recurring when I auditioned, but it's interesting when there's that option for more. Did you feel like I did when you would show up for scenes, like you just always had to hit the ball out of the park and every scene you did?
For sure. But you know what? I think it's, I think that is with every job. You're kind of hoping, if you have a recurring or a guest star with the possibility of like something regular, that you always, it's like, oh my God, am I going to die in the next episode? Oh my God, did I do a good job? Oh my God, am I going to come back?
Yep.
And it is challenging and it's also thrilling because it just really, I think the thrill of it makes you work so much harder. And show up so much more prepared. I mean, I always work hard but it just adds an element, I think.
Some stakes.
And I think there's high stakes, but I think it's also, the challenge of coming in to True Blood was because it was season 6 and you guys were just such a well-oiled machine, such a family, you guys known each other forever. And so coming into something so successful, so big, it's definitely terrifying because you definitely you watch it and you have such respect for what people are doing on the show and you're in love with the creativity of the characters and what people have brought in that you want to also be like, oh my God, hope that I get to be on that level and deliver to what they're delivering.
Mm-hmm.
You're
You
also
know?
coming in with such a forceful character, right? It's not like you can let
Yeah.
your nerves kind of show or play with that. You had to come in confident and strong and like right from the beginning.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that is such a tall order when you're coming into something where you are kind of the new kid, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think also the challenge of taking over such a, with who Violet was, she
Yeah.
basically claimed whoever she wanted,
Yes,
right? And
yeah.
so she claimed Ryan, who was Jason
Yeah.
Stackhouse. And, I think claiming him, who was such a favorite character,
Mm-hmm.
there was also, I felt like there
Yep.
could be a lot of backlash of like, who is this woman? Like just like coming in like, you're mine. And so the pressure of that, of honoring the character. So she came off not just, well, she's entitled, right? She was like, she did claim him. But I think where it's like she's fun and joyful enough where you just go, okay,
Yeah.
this,
Not too one-dimensionally
Yeah,
entitled.
yeah.
That there's more to it. Yeah.
yeah.
So with
So-
her background, her arc, everything that was how much did you know? How much did you kind of create and prepare yourself? Do you have much memory of that?
When I was working on, I remember at the time, what did I know about her? I remember Brian was saying that he was trying to compare it to to a bit of Eric's
Okay.
character, because she was so
Okay.
old. She came
Yes.
from so many. She was even older than Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That she's been around forever. She's seen it all, done it all.
Yeah.
So that's. I think that was about it that I.
Well, there's
knew
that
of.
like fundamental Christian or Catholic, really
Right.
fundamental Catholic, primal woman energy that she has. And so I'm just curious, from what was in the script versus your image of her. And yeah, like what was your process of kind of putting that woman in a modern world?
What was interesting, what I loved about her and because of all the history and what she's been through and her experiences and the learning as I was going also, with each script, who she was and forming more and more information about her. What I loved was that she has experienced so much with men
Mm-hmm.
that now she's just is unapologetic about
Yeah.
wanting what she wants.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. So she's like, for me, like the ultimate female of like, this is who I am. This
There's
is
a
what I
feminist role
want.
model in there.
Very
yeah.
feminist role model. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And, and claiming of like knowing her worth
Mm-hmm.
and claiming what she knows she deserves and wants
Mhm.
and is unapologetic about it. And that was so fun to play. And I respected so much. So I would respected her so much for it because she's had so many lovers, obviously, because when you have a history of so many lovers, so many years, decades, you have so many failures and you get to create yourself to really be who you are. And I also, I was thinking of a panther for her, as an animal,
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
like a cat, just observing,
Yes.
watching, and pounces when she's ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some animal work with her of like, how would an animal move through space?
Yeah.
How do they, because cats are feelings are so fascinating. The way they walk, they spread their paws and,
Yeah.
their eyes, everything is just so observant and slow. And then boom,
Yeah.
So I work with an animal for her. But she was just so fun to play because there's so much freedom in who she was, And I'm sure you had that experience, Kristin, right?
I did. And I'm thinking back to like what it must have been for you starting, because I did start with like classic Pam clothing. So you started in the authority uniform, the prisoner uniform, and then we got to see Violet once everyone was freed, and then that fabulous outfit that you got to wear in your final scenes,
Oh my God.
where we
Oh
got
my
to
God,
see
that
who Violet
robe.
had been. I mean, it was just so epic. And I'm sure that was kind of fun for you and Audrey once you were out of prison to figure out what Violet dressed like and looked like, because she went really girly in the daylight, like kind of pink and cute.
Yeah.
And then
that was
and then you had the lingerie where you had that epic like destroying a room scene in lingerie.
Yeah, so
feminist role model in there somewhere.
Yes.
I mean, it was
I mean, for all the she's batshit crazy for sure, but like somewhere in there before she went crazy,
Totally.
there's a role
it's
model.
all that perspective, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, is
exactly.
she batshit crazy, or she just feels
done with
like
it.
Yeah.
done, or I think but that's what it comes. It's so interesting because it's like she felt betrayed. She felt she was messed with, and so she was like, it's that thing of like, you don't fuck with her. Like, you don't cross the line of what she believed. She had such a strong belief systems, and she was like, you cross this, well, now you're going to pay for it.
And I told you not to.
I told you not to. It was very simple.
Right.
We have a contract. You break that contract, and things are just going to get very interesting now.
And in all fairness, if she's never been rejected in 800 years, she's having a normal response. She just happens to have superpowers and be 800 years old. But like when you're rejected when you're 13, you have the same response. It's just probably you don't have the skills and the strength and 800 years behind you. So
One,
in all fairness.
Yeah. In all fairness. But the funny thing that you're talking about the clothing. So when I was at the prison outfit, it was one thing. And then, and what was amazing is when I got out of prison, the girly outfit was that idea of what Violet thought today's woman would wear and what, Jason would enjoy.
Right.
So that was her attempt at being normal,
right?
For Jason,
right?
And again, it was one of those things I got it so wrong, just so wrong. So it was just funny to also see her through those moments, and then obviously her final performance was like that's who she is. You saw her in all her glory. It's regal. It's big. It's fantastic, and it's. Oh, then also I wore like some jeans and leather jacket. I remember when I take Bailey and Bailey. What was Bailey's character's name?
Well, Adeline and Wade.
Adeline and Wade. When I take him to my sex dungeon, that was pretty epic. The
dildo dungeon,
Your
as we called it. Yes.
Now, was that built?
The dildo dungeon.
That was like. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God.
It's a whole bunch of backstory here they didn't let you in on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, some of it they did. They said that some of the dildos originated. One of them was like ginormous wooden thing that looked like it would be so painful, and they're like, this is the original. Like, obviously they made from a picture that they found, like, inspiration of what it would have looked like a dildo from like 200 years ago or something. I'm like, I don't know, 100 years. It looked brutal and violent and horrible.
We've come a long way, gals.
Oh my
yes,
God.
we sure have. Yeah.
And
thank God.
I'm curious. Now, that house was so insane. So was that a house in LA?
Actually, it was. It was a house in Silver Lake.
With all those, like the statues and the taxidermy and the curtains.
Was it a nunnery? Was there? I think nuns lived there before.
Maybe before. It was a private residence when we were there.
It was a private residence now, but I think it was, I think nuns lived there before that or something.
They're rolling over in their graves.
I don't know. Hey, she's a Catholic.
Actually, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she's a Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're rolling in their graves. They're like, my God, no.
And then did they build a set for you?
I think
that
so.
Whole,
for your death in the
dildo
dungeon itself was a set.
They did.
So
they did.
Let's talk about this monologue that you end with, because I got to witness this firsthand. Now, we'll talk more about this in our recap episode, Kristin, but like I probably spent like 4 days not being able to feel my hands because they were tied up.
Yeah.
And I was very into like if it's silver, I should actually just be hanging. And so I went too far. I 100%ed it and like lost the feeling to my hands.
Oh, yeah,
and,
horrible.
But meanwhile,
Oh, wow. Because you really,
because I really let myself hang a little bit. But I just remember also being kind of, and it was like a weird fever dream because I couldn't feel my hands, but I watched you do this monologue. And you're someone who, again, like you came into this show with all of this confidence and energy. And I don't know what you were feeling inside, but for me, who have always been a scaredy cat, like, right, I am always scared shitless. And I saw this woman who I was like, God, I wish I were a little more like her. I just felt like watching you that day. I was like, I am witnessing greatness. And Deborah, remember it, like hold it, feminist role model, right? Like there's something happening here that you need to like take a lesson on, because Karolina, it was spectacular. It was spectacular how much you owned that room.
Yeah.
And, you know, the tone of True Blood is an ever-moving target, right? Like sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's grounded, sometimes it's crazy over-the-top satire, sometimes it's something else. That is really difficult to manage, especially if you're on like year 1.5 of doing this. And I just thought it was masterful. And anything at all that you can remember about how you pulled that off,
I can't believe you saying this, because I'm like, please, I'm like hearing you say this, I'm like, what?
No, it was
because
I know we don't feel it in our heads.
That's how I feel about you when I watch you. Whenever I had a scene with you, I was like,
I know, it's
fuck, that's amazing. Oh my God, she's so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know, and isn't that amazing? Like
our brains are awful.
Our brains are, they're very challenging. And I know my brain is not my friend, and I have to do a lot of push-ups to like get my brain to just be like, not today, honey. Not today.
Well, let this be further ammunition for you, because
thank you.
It's really spectacular, and it holds up all these years later, going back and watching it.
Epic.
Wow.
You know, it is an
you guys.
epic
Thank
moment.
you.
I mean, you came in as a big bad in the final scene. I mean, that's a ridiculous ask.
Thank you. Well, it's funny because I think when I was doing it, I was so scared. And I think because I had to, take over that whole room and go to each person and have a thing with them and just and relish in the wildness of all the words and the juiciness of the words, and really commit to just loving on every bit of it. And at the same time, I thought people were like, literally, I thought like the audition going, what is she doing?
Right.
Like, but now that we know your audition story, I know why they wrote it for you, because they knew you could do it, right? They knew you had the like, I don't give a shit energy that could get that done.
I love what we do, and I'm in awe of the craft, and I'm in awe of what we bring into it. And no matter how challenging or how scary or how whatever it is, we just keep going for this thing. And I think there's something inside of us, and I know for me, where I'm like, I have to.
Right.
You know, like, even though I'm like, I'm scared.
Right.
And like, you just, I don't know, there's something that you're like, I have to do this. You know, and it's such a beautiful craft, because it really leaves us with such an experience. Like, first, depending what it is, sometimes we get to forget about our life for 5 minutes, get lost in the stories of these characters, and you know, and sometimes you just get left with like, I can't believe I just watched this and experienced this. Like, oh my God, you have your mind blown, or you have something that you're like, God, did I like this? Did I not? And then you talk about it for hours and dissect it, and you know, you're so affected by this art form, you know, and I just love it so much for many different reasons, you know, and it's really beautiful, and it's so challenging, and it's true, like what you said, like so many people I talk to that feel this way of having the imposter syndrome.
Right.
When are they going to find out?
Right.
Is it today? Is today the day they're going to find?
Is today
that I'm just, you know,
pretending
that I'm Literally making this shit up. Yeah, I think that's just a part of the software program called the mind.
Yeah.
And it keeps us safe. It keeps us looking both directions before we cross the road. And it's not a sane thing to do, to move and walk into a set and do these things in front of 50 people.
I want to add that, one thing that helps, I hope you had this feeling with a set like True Blood, is that there is so much support. There is that safety net of, even Audrey's costumes and the set and props and directors and writers. And for me, most of all, the other actors, your scene partners. And you and I shared, I think, one of the greatest safety net scene partners on the show, which is Ryan Quanten.
Oh my God. Amazing.
I mean, we got to talk to him last season, and just above and beyond one of the best people to work with.
Truly. I couldn't, when you have these intimacy, it's amazing today. We didn't have intimacy coordinators back then. So it's kind of like, you're on your own, kid, and you have to have, you have to have people that's going to respect and, be there for you. And Ryan couldn't have made me feel more seen, more safe, more understood, and, made sure that things were taken care of so we could do the scene and there wasn't any weirdness or it was just, I respect him so much for it, and everyone made it feel safe on set as well, and today it's even different. I had to do some intimacy scenes recently, and I'm sure you guys had too, and having an intimacy coordinator, it's pretty sweet now, I have to say that. It's having another person that's really in our corner to be like, making sure that it's even safer and it's even more comfortable.
Well, and there are things that I remember doing, like with Ryan or with Jim, or people like we were doing on our own, that is very similar to what an intimacy coordinator does now. We were just doing it one-on-one, person to person. Here's my agreement. Here are my safe zones. What are yours? How do you want to do this so that we both feel comfortable, but it also feels alive and spontaneous? So we were doing a lot of that work without training, but because we knew we had to, and we had scene partners who were the kind of people who were on board for that. So I will never stop talking about Ryan Quanten and what really a spectacular human being, and then actor, right? Like even in the scenes where you are fully clothed and you're just like, who is this amazing person in front of me?
I remember I was doing something where I something happened to my apartment or something, or I had to move. Something happened. And I think it was maybe 3 episodes in. So I was just beginning to I was just learning to know him.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him. And he offered me his place to stay with my dogs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was like, God, I was freaking out. They had to like leave for a few days. He's like, well, if you want, like, you can stay at my place. I was blown away. I'm like, I don't even know you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
And you open your door to your house. And I just, it was so beautiful. It was just so kind and so thoughtful. And I just, same as you. I can't say enough about things about him. He's just such a special being,
It seems like I didn't get to do too much with Ryan, unfortunately, but we would be in a couple huge scenes together with a lot of people and a lot going on. But it seemed like every take was a little bit different with him.
Yeah. He was very brave.
Yeah.
He was very brave and very willing to try whatever and anything.
Wow.
And that I think was so fascinating for me to watch. Like with each one, he had this idea or that idea. And he's just like, let me just put myself out there and see what happens, Yeah.
So interesting. Because he's such a quiet, reserved, shy person. Like extra.
But I feel like with you, Deborah, it's the same thing. When I've seen you do your scenes, you're the same way. Like you're just, it's just awesome. It's just when you see that, you're like, oh shit. Oh, you could do that. Oh, okay. You could do that. Oh, okay. And okay. Like, you're like, this is it. Wow. It's just, funny. It's amazing to watch.
Especially with TV where you do one character for so long, you do sort of start to go, it's typecasting, but it's also like, oh, that's one person, and I've seen them be that one person so much. And while every person has range, they also live in a certain spectrum. So it is fun having all of us having gone away and started to do other things, how we introduce new aspects of our abilities as well. So we get to see some more of what we can do.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'd be curious for you then, Karolina, what was challenging about Violet? Like, or even what was easy? Like, what parts of yourself that we saw or didn't see in Violet, were you bringing to the table that we would be curious about?
I think there's moments. There was one scene, the coffin scene, where it's the first time I feed on Ryan. I was like, and with the fangs for the first time, and I was just trying to be seductive and sexy and so uncomfortable and
so awkward.
God,
funny.
And then like speak with the fangs where you have a lisp and you're like, I'm trying to be sexy, and you're like, but I'm so not.
And badass, like coming out like this. It's terrible.
Like this, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna suck your blood. So that was a bit of a thing, and I'll never forget. Oh my God, this is the funny bit. So you know how when the fangs would come, you go, the fangs would come out.
Yes.
So for the first few times, I would do sound effects.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I did them too.
I'd be like,
yeah.
And I don't remember what it was, but someone was like, you don't have to do that. Like, we don't need your sound effects.
Later.
I do it. I did. Throughout the entire 7 seasons,
You did?
I did sound effects. I did. I always made a noise. But I could get away with it because but Jessica's a dork, right? Like Jessica was never supposed to be cool.
Right.
So like any mistake that I as an actor made, I was covered because I didn't have to be cool and immortal. Only you all had to do that.
That actually I found challenging to, no matter how insecure, nervous, or whatever, or new it was. Like the first time I wore the teeth was with Ryan, actually. And none of us had worn the teeth yet.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so and they didn't give them to me to practice with before the camera was rolling. Right. So that I did find that to be the most.
Well, and it's the famous line. You have to say it, Kristin.
You're nothing like your sister.
No, you're certainly nothing like your
nothing
sister.
like your sister. Like a whole bunch of S's. Like that wasn't fair. That was not fair. And I heard the whole set just burst out laughing. And Ryan,
I thought putty tat.
Yeah. And Ryan was like, huh. He got this sort of Jason look, but I think it was actually Ryan.
A Ryan look.
I remember when there was a bunch of vampires and we all had the newer fangs. And I remember you're like, wait a second. These are like smaller, and the original ones were so much bigger. And then later they got smaller and then not as big as yours. You're like, wait a second, these are smaller. And you guys are just like,
mine were enormous.
Enormous.
Like,
we had enormous teeth.
Deb and Steven were the best. They didn't lisp. And I would ask them.
But we paid for it.
They paid for it because I said, how are you doing that? And they said, you have to just take the pain. And they got calluses on their bottom lip from just letting the teeth dig in.
Yeah, because you just talk and let them bounce off your lower lip. And there were many, many scenes I finished with, like, I could taste blood in my mouth at the end of it.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would be
like
trying to find a place for them in my mouth.
Yeah.
But no, they said, you just have to take the pain.
That's wild. Yeah. From what it sounds like, you're an actor that really likes to, some actors are more like, I don't want to do this. And you're like, no, I want the full experience.
Yeah, I am 100%er. Even when it doesn't serve me, I kind of can't help but give everything I got. So it's a lesson to learn. There are pros and cons to that. But yeah, I will probably always be 100%er.
I'm the same way. Like I had to do a scene recently. It was like a few months back, but somebody had to push me, and then I have a reaction. I'm like, no, push me. Like I want to have like the full experience.
Yeah.
Then just like physically do it, and then just me reacting to it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like you see people do. I know someone that is like no, I don't want that because I don't want to be hurt. I'm here to act. So just pretend.
Yeah.
And they sell it so well as well. They make it look really good. And it's so fascinating how we all...
Different strokes for different blokes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Deb
for
and
sure.
I are a good team on this podcast because we're a good complement to each other. Because she's 100%er, I'm like a 2%er.
That's awesome.
You know,
Not quite that much.
I know. I mean, 4%. You were saying before we started rolling, because I'm curious about your family's reaction to the show. And if the show is big in Poland, and if you could have ever imagined when you were 10 years old in Poland, right? I couldn't have imagined when I was 10 years old in Wisconsin. But you said that your dad is visiting and his wife put the show on the other day, and they just happened to immediately pull up the scene.
The scene where Violet and Jason have sex on the cop car.
For the first time. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
And it's also vamp sex, so it's not...
It's also vamp sex. Were you in the room when this happened?
No.
Thank God.
I had no idea. She told me, and she said my father just went white, and he was like, "It's acting. She's acting. It's acting. It's acting." She's like, "Yeah, it is acting." And so, she said it in front of him, and he didn't say a word to me. He was just sat there silently as she was describing the scene, the whole thing that happened. So I think he was completely mortified. He's just like,
so did he not watch it when it was coming out? This is the first time.
No, he didn't. No.
Okay.
No.
Was that on your warning or?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. I was just like, it's one of those things that took me up. My father's we grew up Catholic. We are Catholic. We are not practicing Catholics, but still, there is that thing of father, daughter, and I don't think he. I'm 43. There's still that thing of I'm a little girl in his mind. So I still don't think I don't swear in front of my father.
Wow.
I will not swear in front of my father just out of respect for him.
Yes.
So we have that very Polish. You're my father. I'm your daughter. There's certain things that we don't cross those boundaries. So I'm actually utterly shocked that he saw it. And I'll never forget though. So that scene is at the beginning of season 7. And I remember I went to the premiere with he's my ex now, but with my boyfriend at the time. And so that scene comes up and I give him a warning. I'm like, okay, baby, on the big screen at the Chinese man.
Oh
so it's not a little screen.
No.
It's a massive screen.
Yes.
And all I hear is somebody's sitting behind us going after the scene ooh, I like this girl.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I love it.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, oh, my God. And I turned to my guy then. I'm like, so how did you feel? He's like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But the whole thing, I was just like, oh my God.
Amazing.
It is interesting because I think it helped us go to a field of daisies that no one would be, that we were really performing these scenes for ourselves, for each other, for the set. In my mind, it wasn't 12 million viewers wasn't in my head on the day.
When on the day?
Yeah, ever.
Yeah.
You can't think about that, right? You can't think about in those moments because it can become a bit overwhelming.
Yeah. It is a bit overwhelming. I think with a network show where it's airing in 3 weeks and somehow you can call that number to hear the ratings in real time, somehow I was more connected to it. But Alex would continually have to remind me, when I had to speak Swedish, I was like, why am I so nervous? Because you're the only one who's going to know if it's not correct. And he goes, and 10 million Swedes. And I'm like, oh, shit, right.
It's there's something about network too, where a bad rating could mean your show is over.
Right.
Whereas on HBO and cable, we were going kind of whatever rating however many people watch. So it didn't quite have that same, again, those stakes of like, if I don't do this great and we always get 12 million viewers, I'm out of a job, or we're all out of a job. So it's a little, definitely that again, talk about safety nets of having HBO.
That's true. That's true. And just to what you said is, I think sometimes when we have to speak a certain language in front of someone that we care about, and it's their language, that makes us more terrified because we don't want to disappoint them, or we want to do better for them without even realizing subconsciously sometimes. So maybe that's what it was.
Well, on a level, you have to do that all the time, I guess, don't you? I mean, is English was learned?
Yeah,
for you?
I mean, like English, I've been here for a long time. It's interesting because I was talking to my husband the other night about it. The interesting bit is I've been here for 30 years. So I think in English, I speak in English, I have a slight accent. And the reason why I have a slight accent is because I went to school with a bunch of Spanish-speaking kids. So I actually have more of like a Spanish accent than a Polish accent, which is so weird.
Yeah.
And then that's where a lot of people start speaking Spanish to me. It's really interesting. And when I speak English, even though it feels supernatural to me to speak English, it doesn't live the same in my body.
Interesting.
As Polish does.
Interesting.
So like a Polish word, it just feel like sits differently in my body.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Than English, because there is something when you're raised in a language, that's your first, relationship with it, your first connection with it. So it just lives in your body differently. The images are maybe deeper in some way. So like in Polish, the images are deeper and more grounded in something else inside me than English does. You know what I would love to hear is like, so in Poland, what they do, which is genius, they dub everything still,
Yeah.
And they give you like in Europe, they give you different. Oh, I saw it in Spanish. Hilarious. Violet in Spanish, she's genius. Like it's like with the.
You gotta find all the dub actresses that have done Violet and just get together and
Because I'm sure you've seen. Have you seen those?
Yes, I saw it once. I saw Pam speaking French, I think it was, or something. I was somewhere. It's really wild because so much of our performance is in the voice.
Now someone else's performance.
So it's very strange, but
it's very strange. It's very, and you're like, wait, it's me with the, it's like,
it's like me like a puppet. It's like I'm a puppet now for someone else to act.
Yeah. Were you happy when you saw that? Were you like, I like the way it sounds?
No, I was a little disturbed, I think. I was just like, that's not right. That's not so much of my performance was the voice I did. Like, I don't like that. And when I watch TV shows that are dubbed, I'd much rather have it be subtitled for me.
Yeah, same here.
So this is a question we ask everybody. When you think of your time on True Blood, are there 3 words that come to mind?
3 words.
Yeah.
Freedom, fun, excitement.
It's so true. It's so true. I felt those as well.
Yeah.
You've got a really lovely collection of words from.
I'm sure you do. I'm like, I would love to. I want to hear them. I want to
do a compilation.
Yeah, I got to go through and put them in one document or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's spectacular. I mean, I in watching the performance, I feel that, right? Like when I watch back and I watch you and I watch Violet, I feel all 3 of those things going on. Especially like what you said, a little bit of the fear of like, well, she's entitled, she has those things, but how do you also keep the fun in there? And like fun is the prevailing feeling I get from Violet now in a way, because of your commitment to exactly who she is. And there's something to when I look at both Pam and Violet, because you are not supposed to be nice girls, quote unquote, there is a freedom in that you don't have to then worry about that and people liking you or not liking you on a certain level, that I admire and envy on a lot of levels. And so, I just commend both of you so much, those roles and the kind of the bravery that comes with taking on a part like that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm sure you had that experience too. For you, it was fun and freeing and all that
fun
as well.
and free and racked with anxiety and all of those things, you know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karolina.
Thank
This
you
has
so
been
much.
a special treat.
Thank you,
today.
We've
guys.
absolutely
Thank you.
loved reliving, watching
you.
your performance.
Thank you, guys. It's so nice to see you. Like, if I could, I'm hugging you.
I know.
You're so tight.
And
you guys look beautiful. You guys look wonderful. And I can't wait to see, hopefully I get to see you soon. And,
See you in
Likewise.
person soon. Yeah, I hope so. I love her. I love her. I love her. I'm sorry if I dominated that. I was so excited. I wanted to know everything that she had to say, and I don't know. I got kind of like nerdy. Like, oh my god, I have so many questions. Like, I got a chance to like sit at the lunch table with the cool girl, and I got a little lost. So
I did not, Deb, I think I know you pretty well, and I did not see any of that.
Okay.
Like, that's
I got
so
so
cute.
excited. I got really excited. I do.
Cute.
Like, I remember that. And I know I talk about all this that like, oh, like there's so like I realize like she and I are the same age. Like, we're not like, but like there's something about watching another person do something that you don't think that you're capable of and do it so well. And just like I just put her on this pedestal. And until we started watching again, I had kind of like, I just sort of let that, but like watching it, I was like, oh, right. I was seriously like intimidated and blown away by her at the time. And so all of that stuff was like bubbling back up recently. And when she showed up on the screen, I was like, oh my God, it's her. It's her. She's here. You know, like, so I hope I didn't.
You didn't
make her weird out.
Yeah, that's so cute. I did not perceive that. And I thought your questions were so great. And she is, and appropriate. Like, you were appropriate. You were appropriate because she is freaking fierce.
Fierce. Oh my God. And also, again, like lovely and approachable. And why was I ever intimidated? Because she's lovely.
Yeah, she's
right?
so lovely.
Crazy.
But it is a thing when you see people do something where you go, that's not in my wheelhouse.
She's special.
She's special.
Right? She's special.
Yeah.
But I did like all that whole interview. I was like, Deborah, stop. Let Kristin ask a question. You know, stop. Just be quiet. You know.
That's so cute. I did not know.
Okay.
Oh, Deb.
Wait, but this is, I mean, so yes, deservedly, she's incredible. I loved hearing every little bit about that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad she's having the spectacular life.
Next week on Truest Blood, it is discussion week, kids.
Yes.
And it is our last chance to give up all of our behind-the-scenes secrets, but we cannot do it alone. This kind of deep dive requires an accomplice.
Ooh, that's right. We are bringing in reinforcements, folks, in the shape of the faultless Lauren Bowles.
Woohoo!
She played Holly. She made us laugh and think and cry, and her insight will be invaluable.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, Trubies. Subscribe and follow where we listen to your podcasts, and we'll see you next week.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
Truest Blood is produced by Safe Haven for HBO. Executive producers are Janina Gavankar, Kristen Bauer, and Deborah Ann Wool. Our producer is Gabrielle Gallon, and our audio producer is Christopher Wool. Our theme song was recorded just for this podcast by Jace Everett. Additional music was composed by Timo Chen. And remember, you can watch all of the original episodes of True Blood on Max.